we got to revisit the rock, paper, scissors of this game. All right? And that's what we're going to do right now on this episode of Sub Sunday. All right, bet. Let's talk about the basic RPS, okay? We're going to talk about two very simple things, okay? We're going to talk about L neutral, and then over here, we will talk about the pressure RPS, okay? The RPS, which is basically the rock, paper, scissors of this, right? We're going to introduce three things and how they counter each other, all right? And the same thing is going to be done in pressure, all right? But then we're going to make like a small little like pivot, like a tree branch showing options within it, all right? So now, in neutral, you have walk. So we're going to make it like this, okay? So what we're going to do is, when we show a green arrow, this indicates what it beats, okay? So now, we got walk forward. Walking forward, I tell you guys all the goddamn time, this is the most important thing in Street Fighter. When you walk forward, you increase pressure on your opponent. You're always in range to punish things if they're punishable, and you dictate the range. If your opponent doesn't move and you move forward, guess who's creating the range? You are. That's one of the ways to look at victories outside of just health bars. You know, if you can make your opponent wait enough for where you can start dictating the spacing, or you start getting into range where they feel, if they make a mistake, you can punish. And the other thing is, when you move forward, mathematically speaking, you are increasing the chances of your opponent making a decision. Why is that? Because now you are in a threatening range the closer you are, because now you can start poking them. You can potentially throw them if you're close enough, overhead them if you're close enough. You see what I'm saying? Hit them low if you're close enough, right? So that's why walking forward is very, very important. Keep that in mind. All right, punish range, right? You got punish range. You're now in punish range, right? This is why you want to walk forward. Also, we talked about mental pressure, I guess you could say, right? So we increase pressure in our opponent to make a decision. So we're in punish range. We have the increased pressure for our opponent to, right? So we'll write that down. So we increase the pressure for our opponent to make decisions, right? Because if we're far away, there's no real reason for our opponent to feel like they have to do anything, because we're not. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? So the closer you are, the more they feel like they have to make a decision, right? And that pressure can be enough to throw them off of their rhythm, to throw them out of their game plan, their strategy, their intentions, their natural intentions, their strengths, right? That's why you want to move forward. And of course, like we said, punish range, right? We got, what was the other one? It was pressure range, or punish range, increase pressure. Oh, you can control the spacing, or dictate the spacing. I like dictate more than control, because you can't really control it, because your opponent is also going to decide the spacing if they move, right? But you can dictate it, at least for that moment. We're going to create this range, and you have to do something about it. You see what I'm saying? So if you dictate a spacing, your opponent's like, yo, I don't want you at this spacing, right? They try to stop your walk forward, which is what's over here, which is poke, right? And poking beats walking forward. Walking forward beats waiting, and waiting beats poking, because you can react and whiff punish, right? So punish range, increase pressure, dictate spacing. I feel like I'm missing one more. Oh, there's another one. Optimize punishes. So you can optimize your punishes better. You can optimize your punishes better. So let me give you an example. If you're far away and somebody whiffs a sweep, right? Yeah, you can like probably whiff punish it with a poke. But what if you're close enough to where you actually block the sweep? Then you might be able to do like a 2-in-1, aka a button cancel. So you can do like crouching poke into a special and get more damage. You'll build more meter, right? And all this jazz. So you'll be able to actually do more damage just by being closer to your opponent. And another one, this is one of the most important things. So this build meter range. When you are far away and you're not making contact with your opponent with your pokes, you're using specials. Specials can give you a good amount of meter, but there's a lot of risk associated with doing that from far away, right? Because they're very slow attacks that can get jumped in on and get whiff punished. Some of them can get punished on block, right? So instead, prime example is Sagat. Sagat, did you know, takes 20 fireballs in order for me to build a bar on block? But I can do 12 heavy attacks on block, and I build a bar. Mind you, how much more likely is it for me to throw 20 fireballs versus doing 12 heavy attacks? Mind you, on top of that, crouching heavy punch, you can't jump it. If I do it and you jump at the same time, I will always be able to DP it. Fireball? Not so much. So which one do you think it's wiser to build meter with? It's kind of crazy, right? You would have never thought that if you didn't do your research. The most important thing, to master this, because not too many players know how to deal with this shit. People will crumble. Even if they hit you, if you do this masterfully, people will crumble. Because they'll be like, yo, he just doesn't let up. And they don't have the tenacity and that endurance to play with you doing that type of shit. Right? So let's go through this again. So you're in punish range. You're always in range to punish things, okay? Somebody whiffs a DP and you're full screen. Haha. Guess what? The chances of you punishing that, significantly less. If you are in range and you actually whiff a DP and I'm like a medium poke away and you whiff that DP, guess what? Sorry, you played yourself. Hold this fucking damage. Hold this crush counter. Hold this dash up into corner carry. Mwah. Kiss of death. Michael Corleone. The Don Corleone, actually. Even better. Let's go to the higher-ups. We'll go up the chain of command. Right? You can dictate your spacing when you move forward. Right? You can get into the ranges where you want to fight. You're optimizing your punish is better. So even if you can punish something from far away, you'll be able to optimize it even better because you'll be able to do multiple normal attacks. You'll be able to maybe V-trigger cancel your special and get a dash up or something like that, right? And you're building more meter in general. So these 5 keys right here are crucial to understanding the importance of walking forward, right? You'll be in that build meter range. You'll be in the buttons range where you will build meter the fastest, all right? V meter and super bar. You understand? So waiting, okay, this is like whiff punishing, all right? The reason why waiting is very, very godlike. I'm gonna give you the FBI Illuminati secrets from under the Vatican as to why the fuck this is godlike, okay? Let me tell you why. Okay, the reason why waiting is very powerful is because, number one, you know what? We ain't even gonna say opponent. We're gonna call them the ops. Because the ops, my ops, loses track of intentions. What do I mean by that? Let me tell you what I mean by that, cadet. Listen here, cadet. Look me in my eyes when I talk to you. I'm going to give you the news. What I'm trying to tell you is that when your opponent thinks that they have a feeling of what you're going to do, you just sit there and you wait. You wait. You look them in their eyes and you tell them, I don't think you have any fucking clue, Buster McDuster, what I'm going to do to you. Right? Your opponent has no fucking idea what you're going to do. They're confused as shit. They're like, oh shit, he just stopped moving. What is he doing? And now that slight bit of confusion can be used to snowball in your advantage. How? That's up to you. That comes with experience, but some examples could be your opponent goes on tilt, they start to overextend themselves, which is one of the most common things that people do. They forget you have meter, they unblock. You know, maybe they just try to create more space. Maybe they try to create a little bit less space, right? It's just a way of making your opponent lose track of your intentions and theirs. It can help it can help reset things, essentially. Where they think they have you figured out, and you just wait, you don't do anything, and now they're like, oh, you didn't press a button here. Now they start hesitating, and now they're overthinking things, right? Which is really good for you, okay? Another thing is that you minimize your risk. The only thing that somebody can do to you if you block is what? Throw or overhead and hope you don't block, right? Or you try to block standing when you think they're gonna walk up and poke you and then they hit you low. It's one of those 3 things. They're gonna hit you high, low, or overhead. But if you crouch block, you can react to overheads easier than you can react to a low. So that's why you just crouch block and then you see a slow overhead and you just stand block and punish it. So they have to now walk up, right? If they see that you're not doing anything, or they have to take a big risk. And then guess what you do to beat that? You go over here to poke, And that's where you get your knockdown opportunities. You see what I'm saying? Waiting is very important. A lot of players at lower levels, you will see they do not do this. What they do is they do a lot of this. They do a lot of poke and move forward. Not even walk forward, move forward, jump forward, dash forward. Very little walking. It's back and forth between this. So there's no real fucking... It's just this, back and forth. This, right? This doesn't exist. None of this exists to them. They don't give a shit about that, right? It's just literally these two things. And this is their dynamic. This is what they do. Move forward, poke. That's it. They don't care about spacing. They don't care about anything else other than combos. That's how they see the game. They don't understand this part, right? This right here, if you see somebody waiting, that person's actually thinking, oh shit, let me show it, my bad. But yeah, if you see this, right, you see this is the only thing that's this relationship right here is the only thing that's occurring between players at lower levels for the most part. And even at high level, like not even high level, but like strong players that you'll see in like Grandmaster, you'll see that this is what they do. They mostly do this. They very rarely do this. This is some players, not everybody. But you'll still see it as you progress through the ranks. You know what I'm saying? So some players, they'll do 2 of the 3. Maybe they poke and wait. Maybe they just... But for the most part, this is definitely the most common, is move forward, walk... Not even walk forward. It's like move forward. Jump forward, dash forward, and poke. That's it. And just specials, and that's it, basically, right? You could think of specials as pokes, so that would still fall under this category, essentially. Okay? So for waiting, you have your benefit of opponent losing tracks of your intentions, minimizing your risk. Another thing that's very important is resetting rhythm. You reset your rhythm. All right. This can kind of go under the whole idea of opponent losing track of your intentions, but you got to remember, things can happen at a subconscious level when you've played fighting games enough. So just resetting your rhythm where your opponent has this inclination, like, I think he's gonna do something here. Like, you just feel it. They don't know what your intentions are. They just feel something is gonna happen, so they're just trying to snipe it by you not doing anything, but they're so used to you always doing something. They don't know what it is, but you just always acting in a certain rhythm, at a certain sequence, but then all of a sudden you stop. You stop short. Imagine we're running full speed and I just stop on a dime, but you try to stop with me. You're like, wait, what? And you're still going to keep running and try to slow down. You might even fall and bust your ass, right? This is one of the ways to do that, is to just stop and just wait. Waiting can be in the form of crouching. It could be standing, whiffing a light attack and doing nothing, right? I like how K Danger said the hezzy dribble. Basically, like it's like a hezzy, like, you know, it's like a step, like a jab step, right? And your opponent thinks you've sold them the idea you're about to blow past them and go to the hoop, right? So they give up a little bit of space, and now you have space to shoot your shot, right? They have to kind of recollect themselves and then get back into a defensive position, right? So this is kind of like that, essentially. Another thing, there's one more thing. Lose track of intentions, minimize risk, reset your rhythm. Oh, duh, this is the most important thing. You can collect info. This is definitely one of the main benefits, in my opinion. But the thing about this is that you can technically collect information on both of these. You can do it here, and you can also do it here, right? But it's just going to be easiest for you at the lower levels while you do nothing, because your brain will be able to practice the skill of absorbing information. You see what I'm saying? If you're constantly acting, ask yourself, I'm pretty sure you guys can answer me this now. How often are you collecting information when you're playing the way you're playing? Up until this point. Could you tell me how much meter you've had? How many times have you not noticed your opponent had V-trigger? Notice they had super, they had 1 bar even. Or that you know, they were a hit away from getting crush counter, from a crush counter away from getting V gauge, right? How many times have you noticed, oh shit, he's 1 crush counter away from getting V trigger? Or, yo, he's 1 blocked normal away from getting V trigger. You see what I'm saying? If you are constantly playing the way you play and you haven't developed the mindset, the muscle to absorb information while you're doing those things, the best way to start is right here. This is the crawl before you walk. It's right here. So everybody that loves high level play, but you struggle to understand what the fuck is happening in real time and real speed, you have to do it from here. If you want to learn how to see the meter, you start from here, from waiting. You understand? Wait, and then look at the screen. And you practice that over and over and over. And eventually you don't have to think about it. Okay? Is that making sense so far? Please answer. Okay, so let me do a quick recap before we move on to poke, right? So walking forward. Punish range. So the reason why you want to walk forward, all right? I'm going to give you the reasons why. Hugo's Tiglets, what's going on? The reason why you want to walk forward, okay? It's because you will consistently be in punish range, right? So if somebody whiffs something, full screen, you're not going to be in range, right? Or if they whiff something, that's hard to punish on recovery, but if you block it, it's punishable. Punish it, right? It increases your pressure, meaning your opponents need to make a decision. Mathematically speaking, the closer you are to your opponent, the more you move forward, the more they are likely to make a decision, which means not block. You understand what I'm saying? And those are the situations where sniping and turning into knockdown. It's very simple. We just overcomplicate it. Moving forward, it allows us to dictate our spacing. Right? If my opponent sits still and I move in, I do this. I say, I dictate. I'm at zone 3. Let me go to zone 2. Whatever, right? Allows you to optimize your punishes better. So not only just being in ranges of punishes, but the closer you are, the more likely you're able to get more damage, right? Because you'll be able to use mediums with heavies or V-trigger cancel, stuff like that. Do walk-up combos after crush counter and stuff like that, right? And lastly, build meter. Because remember, every time your opponent blocks a poke, they are letting you build meter. They're legit every single time. But not only that, they're taking great damage, obviously, right? So that's something else you can factor in, right? So we can factor in like chip. So you'll be able to optimize, build meter more, dictate spacing, increase pressure, punish range, chip and gray health. Anything else with building meter? Oh yeah, so the thing about building meter is like the risk reward of using a special versus a normal. A button is a very simple input. It's not a complex input. I just press it and it comes out, right? And not only that, but the likelihood of you being able to anti or somebody jumping your button is higher than if they jumped a special attack. So you see how the risk reward is different? So imagine if I fight from far away, I feel more inclined to use specials, which means my opponent's chances of jumping are more successful. Whereas if I am closer, I'm building more meter, I'm doing all of these things, I'm more likely to punish things, I'm more likely to optimize my punishes, get meter with my buttons, and minimize the risk of somebody jumping at me. So for the waiting aspect of this rock, paper, scissors, we see with this green arrow right here that this indicates that walk forward beats this next option, which is waiting. So waiting is very strong for causing your opponent to lose track of intentions, of knowing what you want to do, right? They will lose track of what is on your mind, what your focus is, what your objective is in that moment or in that spacing, or what you're leading up to afterwards. When you wait, it's like a reset. So imagine like in Metal Gear, right? When you like have like the lights, and then if you walk into the light, the enemy knows where you are, right? But if you sit still inside of a box and the light goes over you, they don't know what the fuck you're doing. They just like, oh, it's a box. Who cares? It's the same thing in neutral. If you sit still, not sitting literally, you can stand up and just let go of the stick. Or just do nothing. Or just sway back and forth. Or walk back a little bit. Walk and crouch. Maybe with a jab. All these things are essentially waiting, okay? And your opponent will be like, I don't know. I can't really tell what's on his mind, right? You minimize your risk because, again, the only thing that your opponent can do is one of three things to punish you, right? Outside of like chip scenario, right? That like will lead to something significantly damaging would be hitting you with an overhead, I guess, right? If hit you with an overhead, they hit you with a low while you're blocking standing, or they walk up and throw you. That's it. But if you sit and crouch, you can react to overhead, right? And if they walk up on you, you could just poke them, which is the answer right here. You could just poke, which is the next thing we're going to get into. Waiting also resets your rhythm. So now your opponent, even if they don't know what your intentions are, they just feel like you're going to do something. You're going to unblock in a scenario. You waiting and doing nothing resets your rhythm. So now they lose track of your rhythm, which is really important because it's timing. It's the precision of your actions. That shit is crucial. If somebody knows the timing of when you do something, it doesn't matter how fast it is. They can fuck you up for it. All right? And lastly, collecting info. Again, remember we talk about crawling before you run. You can still collect info while you poke and while you move forward, right? But if you don't even know how to collect info while you're sitting still, what makes you think you're going to be able to collect info while, doing these things, right? If you struggle to do it here, you're not going to, it's because you're not doing it here. You should get good at it here and then move on to collecting info while you poke and then while you're moving forward, right? Because your brain needs to strengthen that ability. It needs to gain that muscle first and then work on it, right? So collecting info, sitting still and just observing. If I can't even tell you what my meters are at any given moment, I am fucking up. If I cannot tell you, oh, he has super, and I go and make a decision without that in mind, I am now playing against the game. I am flipping a coin. Remember what we said? Being a professional coin flipper is not being a great player. You don't want to be a great coin flipper. You want to be a great player. Great player, not a great coin flipper. Remember that. Okay, so let's go to poke. So now pokes stop the whole walk forward, right? Try to move forward, poke. Right? So your pokes defend positions and ranges. So if I am at a specific spacing and my opponent needs to get to zone 2 in order to be a threat to me, what I could do is put attacks there that would stop them from entering that range. What's the first attack you think of that would stop somebody from entering a range? Crouching medium kick? Bingo! Fireball. Tremula. No. Wrong. Kind of right, though. But can't let you influence the people. So, what up, Fnatic? Hadouken. Fireball. Fireball. Or EX Tatsu. Shoutouts to Phenom. But it's a fireball. Fireball. Right? Yeah, this will be on YouTube. Fireball is that thing. Right? You introduce that fireball. Now your opponent has to consider, oh shit, I just can't walk forward. Right? Because if I try to walk forward on this dude right here, right? My opponent is right here, and he's like, Hadouken! Right? Hadouken! Right? And the fireball is like, I don't know why the fuck I drew it like that, but let's say, yeah, right? And now it covers all of this, right? It's covering this. So now my opponent, who's on the other side of me, who's trying to walk forward, he's like, what the fuck do I do about this? I can't move forward, right? What the hell do I do about this fireball? You know what he has to do? He has to either sit and block it, right? He has to sit and block it and say, the power of Christ compels you, right? Or, this is number one, or number two, he tries to go over it. And he tries to, he's like, I'm about to fucking bellies. I'm about to legit just like upside down kick this dude from the air, right? So he has to go through the air or the ground to avoid this. So he can go straight up too. He can jump up and he can just neutral jump up. I don't even need to put that because that arrow's already there. So yeah, he can neutral jump this or he can jump forward over it, right?
Smart. You loyal.
JPP.
Grateful.
Thank you so much, bro.
I appreciate
Happy
that.
Easter. Hope you had a good day if you celebrate. You know what I'm saying? Hope your family's doing okay. Hope you are doing all right. You know, I'm here, man. You know, just reach out to me, dog. Don't feel like you a burden. Just reach out anytime you want to get your mind off of shit. Obviously, I'm not gonna 100% be there all the time, right? Because I have a life to live too. But if I got time, I care about people. I care about you guys. You know, I want to make sure you guys are good, at least to the best of my ability. All right. No, this is supposed to be his arm, you motherfuckers. You see? His arm, bro. His elbow right here. He said steak fighter triple X. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Okay. So anyways. So you're defending this position and now your opponent who is confused is like, okay, I'm gonna block it or I'll get hit by it or whatever. 2, I'll jump above it, over it, and try to hit you. Or what they can do, which is the third option, which is to try to go through it. Right? So they try to go through it. This is where you have your projectile invincible stuff, right? Or whatever. This is... You don't have to really worry about this from a fireball perspective. It's just in terms of pokes, but we're just using fireball as an example, right? Of the power of it when it comes to footsies. Because now they have to make a decision. See what I'm saying? And then when you throw a fireball, you say, oh, what did he want to do about this? Is he going to just stay there? And you keep throwing them until you figure out when do they make a decision, right? Some people, you don't even have to throw a fireball. You just enter a range and they flip the fuck out. They're like, and then you just, okay, all right, I'm going to just uppercut you every time I walk up into zone 3 because you're a fucking dickhead. And it works every time. All right? So you got to figure out, does he block? Does he try to go through, which is number 3, right? Or does he try to jump? Does he jump up or over? That's literally it. Those are the 3 things. If somebody doesn't have a fireball, of course, right? And this is... Right? But you can get rid of the fireball and you can use a poke instead, and the same idea applies. Where instead of going through the attack, what they're trying to do is they're trying to attack you. They're trying to get you. So they're trying to hit your poke. You see what I'm saying? But the same thing can apply. If a poke is coming and they're like, huh? What do I do about this poke? He's not letting me walk forward. Do they start trying to jump? Or do they try to jump in? Do they just block the poke and get hit by the poke or whatever? Or do they try to go through and hit you? Ooh, that was like a cat in the hat rhyme right there. That was kind of dope. It can lead to not Kevin Durant, you silly gooses. It can lead to knockdown, okay? So your sweeps or your 2-in-1s, aka buttons that are buffered into special attacks, right? So you'll see me sometimes I do crouching medium punch into tiger knee. They walk up into it. Guess what? Tiger knee comes out. You get hit. I get knocked down. See what I'm saying? All right. So you got to think of this triangle as essentially what in this triangle can I figure out, like, which one is going to help me get to my objective, essentially. That's what this is. Okay? That's what this is. Perfect. All right, so we could defend our position in our range. All right, poking also can lead to knockdown. Right, it can lead to not Kevin Durant, you silly gooses. It can lead to knockdown. Okay, so your sweeps or your 2-in-1s, aka buttons that are buffered into special attacks. Right, so you'll see me sometimes I do crouching medium punch into tiger knee. They walk up into it. Guess what? Tiger knee comes out. You get hit. I get knocked down. See what I'm saying? All right, so you got to think of this triangle as essentially what in this triangle can I figure out, like, which one is going to help me get to my objective, essentially. That's what this is. Okay? That's what this is.